Urgent Birds fan, look at what just happened. Nobody saw this coming, huh? But first, make sure to subscribe to the channel because we bring you daily videos with the latest Birds news, and don't forget to turn on notifications so you don't miss anything. Eagles, Steelers trade with Eagles rumored for best running QB. Could Jalen Milroe be the next Jalen Hurts? And if so, could the Philadelphia Eagles be involved in making that unveiling happen for their in-state rivals? The Eagles are preparing for a first pick at number 32 in this NFL draft, and the Pittsburgh Steelers make a lot of sense there as a partner, as one trade rumor has it. Pittsburgh is in need of a quarterback, even if they choose to move forward with Aaron Rodgers as their starting quarterback. Or better said, even if the aged Rodgers chooses them. While the Steelers could choose to target a player like Shedeur, Sanders, or Jackson Dart with the 21st overall pick, the expectation is that won't be happening, as they might go much earlier. But what if the Steelers work their way around the draft by hooking up with the Super Bowl champs in Philly in a way that results in Pittsburgh finding a way to land that pick no 32? Where the use of a first round for Alabama star Milroe feels like a smart fit. Milroe has drawn interest from the Steelers, with head coach Mike Tomlin even meeting with the signal caller during the pre-draft process. If Pittsburgh has fallen in love with Milroe, who is the best running QB in this draft, the team figures to do everything it can to figure out a way to get him, if the price is right. Back in 2020, we recall the Steelers had interest in Jalen Hurts, and it just so happens he is a fine comp for Milroe. Instead, back then, Hurts was of course taken by the Eagles in the second round, and he's become a franchise QB. Can Pittsburgh make up for that decision with a selection of Milroe? Let's keep our eyes on the Steelers-Eagles buzz here. Pausing this news just to say that if you want YouTube to keep recommending the latest Eagles Nation news to you, it's very important that you leave a like on this video. Thanks. Now let's get back to the news. Eagles trade for new receiver. For Jalen Hurts rumored, it appears that the Philadelphia Eagles are set at the wide receiver position. A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith are superstars in the league. Jahan Dotson is a former first-round pick, an excellent third option, and the organization just signed for second-rounder Terrace Marshall to a free agent deal as WR4. That doesn't mean the Eagles can't use more firepower. This season, Mike Greger of the Philly Sports Network suggested that the team could look to trade with former offensive coordinator turned New Orleans Saints head coach Kellen Moore for Saints wide receiver Rashid Shaheed. 2. WR Rashid Shaheed. The 26-year-old is a big play waiting to happen, Greger said. That's obvious. He has 10 receiving touchdowns plus 5 rushing scores and 2 punt return touchdowns since entering the league in 2022. Injuries were the only thing slowing him down. So why would the Saints trade him? Well, Shaheed is playing on a one-year, $5.2 million contract in 2024, which is kind of the sweet spot for Roseman to make a deal. If he's not part of the long-term plan in New Orleans, Kellen Moore likely wants to put his stamp on the offense. Then this could be a one-year rental for a day 3 pick with an option to buy after the season. Shaheed has been an offensive weapon over his career, who could be a special team star as well with the confirmation of the updated kickoff rules from last year. His contract will be something to keep an eye on. But the Eagles could always look for more weapons to enhance their offense in 2025. Eagles cornerback beats out 2025 NFL draft class in one stunning way when cornerback Kelee Ringo was drafted in the 4th round of the 2023 draft by the Philadelphia Eagles. The team knew they were bringing in one of the youngest players of the draft cycle to their team. While Ringo has played well in minimal moments on the defense over the last 2 seasons, he has been a key contributor on special teams to this point. Now, entering his 3rd season with the Eagles and a starting spot up for grabs, Ringo is looking to be one of the youngest corners in the league. At just 22 years old, the Georgia product is younger than a plethora of incoming rookies. From the 2025 draft class, just how many? Zach Berman posted a list Friday afternoon. Jody Barron, Trey, Amos Chavon, Revel, Quincy Riley, Darian Porter, Dorian Strong, Robert Longerbeam, Zy Alexander Ringo is in a defense with many of his former college teammates at Georgia. With defensive coordinator Vic Fangio leading the way, Ringo knows he'll have to earn a starting role. One won't just be given to him. and that's perfectly fine with the veteran, especially with Fangio coaching him. "He's an old-school coach," said Ringo of Fangio during OTAs last season, "and I definitely like that about him. Has got his strategies, his scheme, the way he coaches, and I like that he sticks to that. All of us are ready to buy into that. It's crazy to think that there are several cornerbacks about to be drafted that are actually older than Ringo at this point. It's even wilder to realize Quinion Mitchell, last year's first-round pick for Philly, is older than him as well." Philadelphia Eagles 3 sleeper prospects to target in 2025. NFL Draft, here are 3 sleepers prospects the Eagles should target on day 3. Is it a new starting safety to replace C.J. Gardner-Johnson? A new right guard to replace Mekhi Becton? A starting tight end if Dallas Goedert is traded? Or how about a new defensive end to replace Josh Sweat? While yes, all 4 of those positions could be classified as a need, one could argue that the Eagles' actual biggest need is depth, with one of the best farm systems in the business needing some additional prospects to come up the ranks. Fortunately, this year's draft is deep, with the lack of true blue chippers at the top more than made up for via depth in the later rounds. With 8 picks to play with, including 4 in the 5th, 2 things are clear: Howie Roseman will move around the board to get the players he likes, and the Eagles will enter May with much more depth than they began it. Eagles Sleeper 1. Ahmed Hassanein. In the 2025 NFL Draft, there are pass rushers for every single scheme across the NFL. Do you need a speedy outside linebacker for a 34 scheme? Donovan Eziruaku fits that bill right around pick 32. How about a massive nose tackle who can eat up runners between the tackles? Kenneth Grant of Michigan fits that bill and will likely come off the board right around the same time as Eziruaku. But if you want a certified project who might not be ready to play in year 1 or even year 2, but could become a certified contributor if he hits his ceiling, then few players are as intriguing as Ahmed Hassanein out of Boise State. Standing 6'2", 267 pounds, Hassanein wasn't asked to do much for the Broncos during his collegiate career, with the Egyptian-born edge more or less being asked to attack the backfield and whoever had the ball at the time. To his credit, Hassanein, a former wrestler, did it fairly well in that limited role, recording 101 tackles, 32 tackles for a loss, 22 sacks, and 2 forced fumbles over 28 starts. Breaking down his tape for NFL.com, Lance Zierlein noted that while counting on Hassanein to contribute as a rookie might be short-sighted, he does enough things well to justify a draft pick. Bulky 43 defensive end with a strong motor and impressive production, but a lack of NFL-ready instincts. Hassanein hasn't played as much football as other prospects, so he's still in the process of learning technique and developing play recognition. Zierlein wrote, "He comes off the ball with a narrow base but will deliver a good initial pop. The rush production is less a function of skilled play and more a function of play extension and secondary effort. Has tough but limited and misses a lot of tackles." After selecting Jalix Hunt in the 3rd round last year as a project and turning Jordan Mailata from a rugby player into a pro bowl left tackle, Hassanein might just be the Eagles' next project who could put in work on special teams before his time comes to become the rotational edge rusher or even a defensive tackle. Should Clint Hurt believe his best path forward is closer to Milton Williams than Josh Sweat. Eagles Sleeper 2. Kyle Williams. While it may not be their biggest need, the Eagles could use at least one new wide receiver both in 2025 and moving forward, especially considering how little Nick Sirianni and company got out of everyone on the team not named A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith. But what kind of receiver should the Eagles target? Well, they already have a slot receiver punt returner in Adius Smith, who didn't do much in 2024, a big-bodied option in Johnny Wilson, and a reclamation flanker in Terrace Marshall, who they just signed in free agency. Why not look for a home run hitter with extensive collegiate experience for good measure? Enter Kyle Williams, the Washington State wide receiver, not the former Buffalo Bills All-Pro. Beginning his college career at UNLV, Williams really came into his own as a member of Washington State, where he caught 61 passes for 843 yards and 6 touchdowns in 2023 before taking it up a notch in 2024. When he caught 70 balls for 1,198 yards and 14 touchdowns, Williams ran a 4.40 at the combine, even if he looks a little bit faster on tape, and complemented that with a 1.33 10-yard split and a 36.5 in vertical jump. In his draft profile for NFL.com, Zierlein highlighted the good about Williams' tape, giving him a Day 2 grade, while others consider him closer to a Day 3 player. Fifth-year senior with alignment versatility and home run potential. Williams will never be tabbed as sure-handed, but he can separate deep and create big plays, which could make the catch issues easier to swallow, Zierlein wrote. He eliminates pursuit angles as a catch-and-run artist and gets respectful cushions, allowing for easy comeback throws. His lack of route-running fundamentals limit his tree, but that should be correctable with work. Williams' subpar hands lower his floor, but teams looking to add a playmaker could have him queued up as a future. BR3. If Williams comes off the board in the second round, it might be a reach, but if he's available when the Eagles are on the board in the fourth round or with one of their fifth-round picks, the Washington State product would be one heck of an addition to Philadelphia's offense, as he could be like a more sure-handed Quez Watkins, aka the ideal WR3 in Sirianni's scheme. Eagles Sleeper 3, Jackson Hawes, and last but not least, while the Eagles may find themselves in need of a starting tight end sooner than later, Harold Fannin Jr. Looks really good as a Day 2 pick if they can come to terms with Goddard on a deal that works for everyone. Bringing Jackson Hawes in as a TE3 who can dominate in the Jack Stoll run-blocking role would be a very interesting add-on to the best rushing team in the NFL, standing 6'4", 253 pounds. Hawes caught exactly 51 passes total over his 4-year college playing career, split between Yale and Georgia Tech, amassing 566 yards and 6 touchdowns over 41 career games. He did some work on special teams and got the occasional look in the slot, but for the most part, Hawes' bread and butter was as a blocker, showing he could take on defensive ends in line or serve as a lead blocker in space as a pseudo-fullback in Georgia Tech's run-heavy offense. In space, Hawes moves well and theoretically could develop as a pass catcher, but in the short term, Hawes could be a weapon in the run game at tight end, challenging Ben VanSumeren for minutes as a fullback, and catch the occasional pass all the while. Being a core special teamer. Highlighting Hawes' unique offensive game for NFL.com, Zierlein pointed out that while the Georgia Tech product might be a limited player now, he could become a contributor. Hawes is a thump-and-drive tight end with the technique and fire to help make a difference in the run game as both a lead move, blocker, and at the point of attack. Hawes proved he could move from the Ivy League to the ACC and fit right in, despite the step-up in competition, Zierlein wrote. There are correctable areas as a run blocker, but his demeanor and size make it easier to project his move to the NFL in that area. Has limited as a route runner and pass catcher, so a roster spot will need to be secured with a steady diet of physicality. Hawes has Day 3 value with a chance to earn NFL snaps. No matter how the first few rounds of the 2025 NFL Draft shake out, Hawes should still be considered a decent enough option for the team in the 5th round, as he can add even more pop to the best rushing game in the business with an ability to move around and pick up would-be tackles to give Saquon Barkley even more room to operate. Let Jeff Stoutland get his hands on Hawes, and don't be surprised if he becomes a player even if he isn't a reliable receiver immediately. And now, Birds. Fan, I want to hear from you. What's your opinion on this? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I don't know if you know this, but your opinion matters a lot for Birds. He'll be back any moment with more Eagles. Nation News, fly Eagles fly.